Thank you so much indeed for joining us today. And I mean, I started the conversation around Governor Rotimi Akeredolu, and we do know now officially there is a transmission of power from the governor to Mr. Ayedatiwa, which the House of Assembly in Ondo State, we understand, is also in the copy of that communication. There seems to be some handshake now, but it appears that you and some of your colleagues, you held a town hall today. You're still not happy. I saw some posts. What more are you expecting from Governor Akeredolu?
You know, they said those who forget history are bound to be doomed by the repeat of history. This is what George Santayana once said. And in the case of Ondo State, we're seeing something similar to what the Yar'Adua cabal took Nigeria through in 2010. So Akeredolu returned to Nigeria from Germany, or wherever he went for treatment in September, never stepped foot on Ondo soil. He stayed in his house outside the state. Never carried out any official activity, no cabinet meetings, just visitation to his house, once by his cabinet when he freshly arrived, and secondly by some state governors in the Southwest. And then his signatures were being forged. People were using subterfuge, using his apparition to run the state. And then when pressure comes, they turn around and say, hey, he's going to go back on another medical leave, forgetting that we're not stupid. You never came back from the first leave. And this time around, the cat has been let out of the bag. We have now found out that they are forging signatures, forgery. In fact, there's an investigation, let's assume there is one going on about that. And a meeting was held in Abuja, which is completely illegal, to come and resolve this in an unconstitutional way. Let him write another letter asking that he will go on another medical leave when he never came back from the first one. As we speak, nobody, except if this appeared while we started the issue, has seen a copy of his letter asking to go on another medical leave. As we speak, he also has not been seen traveling out of the country because he's incapacitated. I mean, how can you take 5 million people for granted for so long? I mean, citizens of Ondo State, and not expect that someone will be wise enough to know that this is another fraud. You cannot defend one fraud with another fraud. So that's why the issue of being satisfied doesn't even come up at all. He has not done the needful. What is needful is for clear now that he can't resign. So we are calling for a total removal of Akeredolu from Ondo State by invoking the doctrine of necessity. That's where we are. Nobody should fool people by saying, oh, he has written another letter. You know, you go on leave, you don't come back, you go on another leave. Even you and I know that when we work with companies, you can take 3 days off. If it's more than 3 days, you have to present the medical report. In this case, nothing like that has happened. Nobody knows, nobody can even tell you where he is. We just assume that he's in his personal house in Ibadan or your state. That's unacceptable.
But Mr. Sowore, if I may jump in, are you still with me? Yeah, okay.
I'm with you. I can
yeah, fantastic. So the question is, there are those who will be saying, me, why would you be asking for his resignation? The man has since said he's going back for medical leave. Why would he be asking for his resignation?
I'm no longer asking for his resignation. I can tell you that he's no longer cognitively capable of resigning. He can't even sign his signature. They have to forge it. The reason why they didn't forge it this time was because everybody is now wise. They figured out that this forgery has gone on for too long. And the forgery of his signature has cost Ondo State over $7.9 billion. 7.9 billion naira. So what are we still talking about here? You're a journalist. Do you know where Akeredolu is? Have you spoken to him? Do you know whether he's the one who even decided that he's going on another medical leave? You don't know. People can't just be making these decisions and holding Ondo State to ransom. And I want to make it clear. I'm not doing this because I'm from Ondo State. I've always done what is right. Anything that my conscience tells me is right. I did it in Taraba when they were manipulating people in Taraba, when their former governor, sometime who was in an airplane
Mr. Shore,
accident.
yeah, Mr. Shore. So one
Yes.
thing is here. I mean,
Yes.
there are a lot of people who have come up to say there was a situation of forgery. There were
Yes.
situation where they were not certain that it was the governor Rotimi Akeredolu signing some document. I mean, in that sense, what would you be asking? Because if there is a situation of forgery, the governor needs to also attest to it, but I'm not sure he's readily available for that to happen. You have made reference to what happened in the Yaradua era, but what do you think should be beyond politics? Because there are political intervention that took the situation to where it is right now. What do you imagine should be happening in that respect?
Every decision around Akeredolu's return to office on lack of capacity to run is political. He's a political figure. Nobody should say this is not political. I don't know what else it is. He should just leave. But I'm saying I've come to a conclusion based on the information I have at my disposal that he cannot even resign because he's incapacitated. The operating word is incapacitation. So in that case, you use extraordinary legal measures, and that's where the doctrine of the doctrine of necessity becomes, a must. But the problem is that, the Ondo State political operators, particularly the Speaker of the House of Representatives, is also in on it. The security agencies are in on it. This is their perfect.
What do you mean when you say they are in on it? I mean, do you have evidence? What exactly are the clues that you have when you say they are in on it?
We now have evidence from a member of his cabinet that is forgery. That's a criminal activity. And we also have evidence that security agencies in the state, particularly the DSS, don't want anything to be done. They like the situation because I'm sure they are benefiting from the forgery, particularly monies that are coming through the security votes, which is never accounted for. So it's the same thing with Yaradua. This is a repeat of history, and it's a tragedy now. But this don't have to continue, and there's no way around this. We can't keep skirting around it by saying, "Oh, the issue has been resolved." No, it's not been resolved. We have not taken the right steps in resolving it, so that this don't repeat itself.
So Omoyele, yeah, you are of the opinion that it is not the governor that resigned. That is what you're saying. That you're not sure that it was the governor that made the resignation himself. You are saying that he doesn't have the capacity to resign. You are saying that he's not aware of his resignation.
He's not. So let me make it very clear. Akeredolu, as of today, that I know of, I don't know what will happen tomorrow morning, cannot talk. He can't stand up by himself. He cannot do anything. He's incapacitated. He's got cancer. And I'm not mocking him by saying, I'm just providing context to where we are. And he can't do anything. It's possible that by tomorrow morning he'll be fine, but I doubt that will be the case considering the prognosis. I think it's bad. And this is why Nigeria is just one different basket case. In other climes, you would by now be aware of what is wrong with the governor. His doctors will be addressing the press every day. They won't hide anything. But here, we just love to hide things. We don't like transparency. And when anybody is pushing for it, we say, "Oh, are you not a human being? Can't you be sick too?" But the truth is that when Akeredolu was the NBA president, Nigeria Bar Association, he did exactly the same thing, which was conscientious at that time, telling Yaradua, "Go resign because you're not well." So why should we treat him and members of his cabal differently this time around?
So
and that would be completely hypocritical.
Mr. Sowore, let's look at this perspective, right? A lot of people know the role Rotimi Akeredolu SAN played in the Yaradua saga, and a lot of people will say, "Look, history will not forget," because that also became there was a feeling of the vacuum of the lacuna in our laws, which did not envisage that a president could be sick to the extent that he will not be able to carry on the duty of governance to the point that he died while in office. Our laws at that time did not envisage such. Now, if this is happening, there are those who perhaps are thinking that the Rotimi Akeredolu that they know, if he were to be very, very conscious, if he were to be very, very medically aware, perhaps he would have done differently. Do you think so?
I don't think so. I have a feeling that Governor Akeredolu knew of his prognosis a while ago, and it just had progressed over time. And by the time he returned, at the last point where he could communicate, if he was that conscientious person that they tout him to be, he would have just said, hey, let go. Let me sign something and or call the press and say, I have to go take care of my health. He didn't do that when he was at least aware and conscious. So I don't want to ascribe to him some kind of, piosity that doesn't exist. I'm in Ondo State right now. Akure. This man has been in office for 7 years. There's nothing to show for it. So what is there to celebrate in his, his so-called consciousness? There's nothing to show for it on the ground. There's nothing to show for it in his character and action during.
I'm imagining, since you are from Ondo State and you've been following what is going on,
yes.
Who are these cabal?
I think they compose mainly of his family, just like the Yaradua cabal, his wife. His son is also prominent because his son was made to be a member of his cabinet, a very bizarre kind of position that monitors the governor. I don't know how somebody is appointed to monitor his father. I think they had envisaged this and prepared for it. And then the Speaker of the House ultimately, and security agencies in the state, some of his commissioners. There's never a shortage of bad people in Nigeria. It's the way this country is. But they're known.
So, but before we get, because I like your views on so many other issues tonight. What do you think is the way out? Lucky Aiyedatiwa is the acting governor right now. Those who will say, legally speaking, that makes a lot of sense. Politically speaking, it's a lot of a dicey situation considering what has happened in the past months. Elections are coming next year. What would you say should be the right thing to be done in the interest of the Ondo people, apart from what we saw happen earlier this week?
I think it's for us to just conclude this chapter of expecting Rotimi Akeredolu to come back as governor. It's been demonstrated that he's incapable of running the state, and the state has 1 more year to go, before elections. I know that part of the reason why this is being complicated is because of the next elections. But that's not my interest. I'm not interested in Aiyedatiwa or anybody for that matter. I don't know them. I can imagine that maybe in the next few weeks I'll be fighting against Aiyedatiwa too, because all of them are the same. They're APC people. But the important thing here is for us to close that chapter. Let him just leave so that the people who use subterfuge as a way of running on those states can be finally retired, so that nobody comes up again and say, Rotimi Akeredolu has resurrected again. His son, where this time is in Lagos, on his way to the forge and last. They're just using him to defraud the state, and they're using him to slow down the progress of this. I'm not in any way suggesting that Aiyedatiwa will make a progressive governor as a substantive governor, but let's just close that chapter, move on, prepare for elections, and elect.
Yeah, there are those who will say since the tenure is almost over, why resign? Why don't you just see the situation with Aiyedatiwa in the saddle right now? Just see it to the end. It's just going to be few weeks or few months of.
I'm never satisfied with half measures. There's a reason why we fought the Yaradua battle till to the last. So I'm not going to tell you that I'm satisfied with it should just be acting governor, because the people who created the crisis will come up with another strategy to distract all of us.
Let me take you to, and I know you have a lot on your chest uh, to let out on this Rivers matter. First and foremost, what is your assessment of the situation in Rivers State?
My position is known about River State for a long time ago. River State has become the rivers of crime in Nigeria. Uh, and when I was actively reporting on corruption, River State was an interesting space to report on because it's just like mini Nigeria, Rivers, a place where elections don't hold, where people just take money and spend it the way they like, and where there's a lot of violence, organized state-backed violence in the state. So I have, for instance, no sympathy for the current governor of Rivers State, regardless of where he might find himself, because he was the one helping Wike to perpetrate the worst corruption possible in that state. It's still billions, according to EFCC. This is not. I didn't make this up. He was even declared wanted, and I guess the reason he was a comfortable candidate for Nayesi Wike was because he felt he needs immunity. But probably Wiki also forgot that the moment these guys get power, that it become very difficult to control. So now, in dealing with it, I don't want to get caught up in sympathy, between two thieves. I think hopefully one day maybe the people of River State can get their ass together and take their destinies and their states and their treasury away from buccaneers and thieves and robbers. And I say this categorically because that's what it's all about. So you can draw me into sympathy for a governor who went and put the House of Assembly on fire, and then next time he's demolishing it, and he wants to, present the budget to 4 people. That's not what their own law says. I can't be caught in that kind of moral quagmire that is in that case. I hope and wish that one day River State people can just say enough is enough in the state, so that you just keep encouraging criminals to be governors, and because
So
then
when you look at the situation, there are those who will say the issue of godfatherism, and you've heard from both sides of the divide. A lot of resignation happened in the cabinet on the Governor Wike, Minister Wike's side. It does look like he said nothing lately, but a lot of political activities that are going on, you will see that there is a lot of tension that is going on. From what you know, to resolve this kind of crisis, because it will be a situation of someone who has invested heavily and is not getting the kind of political benefit that he thinks that he should have gotten because of the political investment that has been put into putting someone in office. And this godfatherism, we've seen it happen in several states: Lagos State, Shon State, several other states in Nigeria. This has happened. How do you, because one thing that is paramount, the interest of the average person in Rivers State, how do you think that this can be resolved?
I like the fact that you said the interest of the average person in River State. River State is a place where somehow they figured out how to get you to play on the side of one godfather against the godson from time to time. At the time, it was Odili. They had issues with Amici, and everybody was happy that Amici fought back, and Celestine Omehia didn't quite become a governor and stay for a long time. And when we're done with that, you're excited that Wike, who was Amichi's chief of staff, also displaced Amici. And then next time you're happy that this is accountant general who's now governor is fighting him. You're caught up in their war. You're like my friend Dele Farajimi would say, don't die in their war. They want you to die in their war. And none of these things are in the interest of people of River State, interestingly. It's all in the interest of Wike, who you said has made political investment. Which investment did he make? other than stealing the state funds. I was the first person to write about Wike when he was under Rotimi Amechi as chief of staff. They were stealing money. Interestingly, Amechi was able to use his own connection at that time to get Wike out of the quagmire. The EFCC arrested him, they prosecuted him, and then they got the Court of Appeal to discharge him. In fact, they were so audacious about the arrangement that they told me in advance that the Court of Appeal would discharge him, and that's what exactly happened in Wike's case. And then he went ahead and became a minister, and he became an arrowhead for Patience Jonathan. And then is that what you want me to celebrate? And in what way has that improved the life of an average River State person? They have trains that have not been completed. They have schools that are abandoned. Their air is polluted. Their water is polluted. There is violence and insecurity in rivers. What is there to celebrate about rivers, apart from the fact that Wike is very good at buying airtime on TV stations?
But if you look at it, let's talk a bit of politics. And because of the kind of intrigues that you have also been involved in the AAC, so you know what these political intrigues can be like. Do you think that Sim Fubara, the governor, can withstand the kind of political pressure or the war coming from the Wike side of the divide?
I don't care. I hope they destroy themselves. And I hope Sim destroys Wike, and I hope Wike destroys
in what sense
that he had used in corruption for a long time. But that's not my interest. I'm not interested. I don't know whether he can withstand Wike or not. But the human side of me wish they can just cancel themselves out.
How would that happen?
Wike with federal minds will keep holding Sim Fubara by the balls as long as it's possible. Sim with his watchers as a state governor of one of the richest states in Nigeria will keep using whatever he can to keep Wike at bay. And Nigeria will thrive in a state of chaos. This might actually have been arranged in such a way that no room will be left for governance, and nobody will then ask him, what are you doing with the money that is coming in? Because now he's got a fight on his hand, and he has to abandon any kind of governance to do the fight. And then the Nigerian political elite lost it. Lawyers will come in, the media will come in, everybody will be making a killing out of it, except the people of River State. And that's the sad part of it. But who cares if Sim destroys Wike? They're not going to last anyway. There was a time in this country that the most powerful governor was the governor of River State. Where is it today? This is going to go on, but I just feel bad for the people of River State that these guys, they allow themselves to be played from time to time. River State could be looking like Dubai. Port Harcourt could be looking like Dubai with all the money that's coming into the place, strategic location, geographically, financially, economically. But they keep getting the worst people to govern the place, and that's so sad. That's so sad.
So the president, we understand there was some kind of underground interference underground influence in trying to douse the situation. But there are those who will say, well, Mr. Wike has said he's in PDP. Sim Fubara is in PDP. Chief Okocha is now the interim chairman of the APC in the committee in the APC. There are those who are on the other side in the APC, the Rotimi Amechi camp. They are feeling that they've been chased out of the party because the party at the center had brought Okocha, to whom they say is not a member of their party. That kind of situation, how much of a confusion do you think that is?
Let me explain to you how much of a confusion it is. It is designed to tell the world that political parties don't exist in Nigeria, just political interests. Wike is the only person in Nigeria today who is publicly, that I know publicly, a member of two major political parties, the PDP and the APC. And the reason why that is encouraged is because he's doing a yeoman's job, for Tinubu to keep the PDP divided and also keep the APC subdued in River State. So that's what it is. Otherwise, why is it that the PDP, a party that claims to be the largest party on the continent of Africa, cannot expel Wike from their party? But people who do less infraction, who get involved in less infraction, they remove them immediately. But all of these guys are the same. There's no difference between PDP or APC.
Why do you think it's difficult for PDP to be able to suspend or expel? Because he has dared them, and they should try it.
These political parties and the operators they're hustlers. They are transactional people. They, is what we say in Nigeria. These are practitioners of politics of where belle face. The PDP is virtually dead. There's nothing left in PDP, and there's nothing right in APC. So Wike is having, a time of his life, just tossing them around and playing with them. He knows what he's doing. He understands the system well enough to keep enjoying himself. So he's playing Russian roulette with PDP.
I mean, but if you are to assess Wike, you stayed in Abuja by some reasons that you were being forced by the courts to stay in Abuja. So you know what is happening in Abuja over the last 8 years under the past FCT minister. But since Wike got into office, you've seen what has happened. The Wike that is a politician and the Wike that is an FCT minister, what do you have to say about that?
I just came from Abuja today. I didn't see Abuja look different from the way I left it in May. I'm seeing, smoke rising up in the horizon of the city. I hear Wike is burning down, shacks and shanties. That is not governance. It's not something that you want to celebrate. What is there? Which road in Abuja did Wike construct to the point that I'm going to be part of the people deceiving the public by saying, "Oh, there's a difference between the last FCT minister and Wike"? Nothing. Okay, yes. So they say, some people say he mobilized contractors back to base. Every new minister mobilizes contractor, and then when they mobilize there, the contractors come around and damage the roads, and then you come back and say, "Oh, we didn't know Wike is this bad." If Wike was a whiz kid that is being portrayed as, well, how come he didn't turn River State to one of the best states in Nigeria as a governor for 8 years? So, and I know people who say, "Oh, he used to commission projects." Having a life band walk around with you commissioning half asphalted highways is not governance. But I understand the standard for governance in Nigeria is so low. Any iota of noise is regarded as as something, especially when when you have the press tucked in between your thighs.
Sure. I don't understand what you mean by that. But of course, you have a platform that you run, Sahara Reporters, so you probably might be able to explain better what you mean by having the press talking between the ties. But I would love to take you to national politics. It's December, and May 29 this year, President Bola Tinubu was sworn into office, and a lot of people will be ending the year and making an assessment of what has really happened this year. From you ran in the election with him. Now he's the president of Nigeria. He's one of the
I ran against him, not with him.
You were in the race with him. You ran against him in that election.
I understand what you're trying to say, but
so my question is, how would you assess the last few months of President Bola Tinubu in office?
I used to say something in since 2018 that leaders of Nigeria get progressively worse. So, and one of my greatest fears when Buhari was leaving power was that he will be replaced by somebody worse than him, and people will say that they miss Buhari. And I initially didn't want to run in 2023 because our party was hijacked, had all these legal issues, family issues. My brother had just been killed, and I think we got our party back a few days before the close. In fact, it was because there was an extension and deadline for submission of candidates for primaries. That it was during that window that we got our party back, and I contested because I was hoping that this would not happen. We will not have to deal with a situation where people will miss Buhari. And Tinubu came in May, and people are already saying that Buhari is the better human being. It's scary. Economically, you know where we are. The Naira was about 600, 700 when Tinubu came to power. It's now about 1,250. Prices of goods and services, inflation has gone up. I mean, when you say these things, it don't make sense to people anymore because they just expect the worst and hope for the best. Nothing has happened. Nothing, and I mean nothing, has happened in the last 6 months that is progressive. We've just been going backwards in terms of the quality of life for the people. To the point that, and I'm not exaggerating, this is in a while the Christmas or New Year's period that I experienced in which there's no enthusiasm. Nobody's talking about it. Except for Hamatan, nothing shows in terms of enthusiasm. People have been beaten down so badly that people are just there. They're just breathing, and they're breathing only because oxygen has not been privatized or commercialized. Otherwise, not only a few people will be
But
left. So
the
I don't
government
know
of the day
what
said that they met a badly run affairs of the state, and that things are going to be
there's
more,
no
things
president
are
of Nigeria
difficult,
that didn't
but our
come and said
Nigerians should
the
be
best is
patient.
happening.
They're working hard to fix things, and there's a renewed hope they're selling to Nigerians. Sowore, stay with me.
This is frozen.
All right, are you back now?
Yes. No, I'm back.
Oh,
Yes.
great. All right, go ahead.
Okay.
So the question was that those who believe that things were very bad, and this government has said they met a very bad state of affairs, and Nigerians will have to go through some pains, but in the end they will get things done, and they've sold the renewed hope to Nigerians as their mantra, as their agenda of government.
It's renewed scam. It's a renewed scam, not hope.
What do you mean
I
by
don't.
that? I mean,
I don't
because
know anybody.
there are those
I
who
mean,
will say that when things are really not going good, even when they're good, that hope is a good item to sell, isn't it?
well, that's if there's hope, and you have to ask yourself, which hope are they selling? Is it the authentic or the fake hope? I think this is the fake kind of hope. This is 419 hope, where people are told that, if you are stripped of your dignity, you die of hunger, diseases, starvation, your school fees is skyrocketing, your inflation rate is at the highest levels, your currency is like toilet paper, that everything will be all right. Anybody telling you that is a motherfucker. And I'm
Oh
sorry
no,
to say that
that's a
on show.
very
I'm
harsh
blasting
language
it
to
out.
use.
So, yes, yes. Um, Nobody should tell Nigerians that things will be getting better when you go all out to just take whatever is left. How do you increase fuel prices the way they have done, and you increase school fees, you increase transportation costs, you increase cost of healthcare, and then you turn around and tell people that you should be fine with 30,000 naira minimum wage? Okay, we add 5,000. Okay, we give you palliatives. We removed it, and then you wake up one day and you take 1,400 people to COPs 25, whatever that meeting was in Dubai. And then you buy your wife 1.9 billion naira worth of cars, and you renovate a house with 4 point something billion naira house you don't stay in. You buy a yacht that you're never going to enter in your life, and then you are renovating the vice presidential guest house with 15 million, and one day you're going to 15 billion, and you're going to turn around and sell it for 40 million naira, like Jonathan did to Pa Edwin Clark. So this is not the kind of thing that we should be discussing. So what's the basis for this renewed hope? That's why I call it a renewed scam.
Let me. You were talking about whether or not you wanted to run in 2023, but I mean, will 2023 be your last try to wanting to become president of Nigeria?
No, I said I didn't want to run in 2023 because I'd explained to you why. And I didn't feel like, I mean, my brother had just been killed. I was restricted to Abuja. Our party was hijacked from us. There's a lot of issues happening. And, there was also like COVID, everything happened within that period that was too much. But when I realized what the ruling party was doing and what the major political parties were doing, presenting candidates that I know will not inspire any kind of hope or respite, I threw my hat into the ring. Uh, and I did the best I can to warn Nigerians to campaign wherever I could. But, people weren't just listening. But that's not the issue. Some people were listening, but they had perfected a way to ensure that elections don't hold. And that's what exactly they went to do. And we had one of the worst elections in history of
Would you
Nigeria in
blame anybody
2023.
for their political choice of voting either Atiku or Tinubu
No,
or
no,
Peter
I don't.
Obi?
I don't quarrel with that. I don't belong to the party that accuse people or scandalize people for voting their choice. I'm completely a Democrat in that regard. I respect people's right to decide for themselves who to vote for. But I'm just saying that I'm telling you contextually what transpired within that period. So I don't have a problem with that. But if people could vote for who they want and their votes count, I have no problem. But if they vote for who they want and the votes go to who they don't want or who they may not want, then there's a problem. Or when you don't even vote or you don't count votes at all, that's where the problem is. And I came out before the election. I warned Nigerians. After the election, I warned Nigerians about the judiciary. And now you all know the story.
But I like you to react to some of these comments that I heard about the manner in which you attacked Peter Obi, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party. There are those who believe that you had thought that you were going to be that kind of alternative to look out for in that election. But as soon as you saw Peter Obi and he was gaining the attention and the kind of popularity, you got upset and you were going after him. And it was just simply malicious. That those who reacted in that manner.
You see, the best way to judge this is to look at you, Shon or Kimbaloye. You run a political show every night in Nigeria for almost 5 days. How many times did you interview me? Probably 3 times throughout the election. So how many times did I have to talk about Peter Obi? How many times did I talk about all the candidates? I talked about every candidate.
But the feeling was that the manner in which you approached Peter Obi's matter, it was
I approached
personal,
all
it
of
was
them. I approached
malicious, and
all of the political leaders. I spoke about their past, their present, and their future.
but did
And
you
it all
have
came to
anything
pass.
personal with
Well,
Peter Obi?
let me
Did you have
finish. Let
anything
me
personal
finish.
with Peter Obi?
Let me finish. I have nothing personal against him. In fact, were it not for me, Peter Obi may not have become a candidate of the Labour Party. And I've said this to you on your show before, that it was our Court of Appeal records, unpublished, you study law now, that was used by Femi Falana to get Peter Obi a spot as a candidate when the Labour Party was, falling apart. I was the one who provided the documents to Peter Obi's lawyer, Femi Farah. You can find out. And it's not the first time I helped Peter Obi. When he was governor and Obasanjo then wanted to remove him, I helped using Sahara reporters to expose all the plots against him. So you can ask him all this. How would I get upset about a candidate that I know is going to end up the way he ended?
No, because the feelers, and I'm reflecting this like a mirror. I'm reflecting the feelings of some people to you that what happened to Peter Obi.
Now what happened? Ask me that. No, you always ask me that.
No. I'm asking you again. These elections are over. But I mean that those who believe that what you saw in Peter Obi was what Sowore wished for himself, but he couldn't get.
No, I don't wish for myself what Peter Obi had. I don't wish for a movement that is not real. That's never been me.
What do you mean by it's not real? The obedient movement is not real?
If they were real, why was it that when they were cheated, they couldn't raise a finger? Come on now. I've said this publicly. I'm probably the only reason why you kept repeating this is that they were able to, the obedience movement, or some of them, not all of them, were able to scare a lot of people, particularly on social media. A lot of people were afraid of them. I was not afraid of them. I spoke my mind about Peter Obi, regardless of what they did to me, regardless of the abuses, the insult. No, that's probably what you keep referring to. So if I speak about Tinubu doesn't talk to anybody. He doesn't even come to debates. He doesn't have a social media presence that is always out there aggressively challenging anybody or protecting their candidate and saying, you can't talk about our candidate. So that might be what you interpret to mean that, you wish that you'd be Peter Obi. I don't wish to be Peter Obi. I've never wished to be anybody but myself. This has been me for 33 years. So what would I gain being Peter Obi? Nothing. If I was Peter Obi, I would have ended up as Peter Obi in 2023 too. I would have been cheated of the election. As he claimed he was cheated.
But Sowore, did you think that Peter Obi
if I was the one,
could have won that election?
They know. So I spoke about this from the beginning. But like I mentioned to you, the media doesn't talk to me a lot. You interview me only 3 times. The whole of my interviews in all the major newspapers, major TV stations in Nigeria wasn't even up to 1% of what was devoted to other candidates. But yet, you claim that I'm jealous. Where am I jealous? Why would I be jealous of anybody?
It's not my claim. I'm asking you a question based on what I hear and I see from what the pro Peter Obi people are saying, and that's why I'm asking you.
That's what I'm questioning.
Did you think? Did you think before the election that Peter Obi could win the election?
I know you are forcing this argument in the direction of sound bites. You want sound bites that can go out of this, but I'm going to tell you plain and simple that what your perception or what you heard is not true, because it's the same way I treated Peter Obi that I treated Tinubu, the same way I treated Atiku, But maybe the supporters of these other guys don't treat people the same way. They didn't treat me that way. But I can tell you that every candidate in Nigeria that has been in office has treated me in one hostile way. The guys who used to call themselves Buharis, they were attached colonel, major general, this thing to when I was doing the revolution now. And they will attack me, they will attack my parents. There's nothing they don't do. But I didn't flinch. So you move to that and you go to Peter Obi supporters. That's the same thing they do online. They bully people, they harass you and hope that you're scared of them. If you're not scared, they'll push it to media. People like you saying, Sowore is jealous of Peter Obi. For what reason? Why would I be jealous of Peter Obi? I'm not jealous of anybody. I just want this country to work.
But did you think that Peter Obi had a chance, Sowore? Did you think that he had a chance? Did you think that he could have won that election?
I went to run an election against people. He asked me if he had a chance. I thought I had a chance. That's why I ran. I'm not. I didn't. You are making it sound like if I was only talking about Peter Obi in the election, and you completely, deliberately ignored my messages. And I think some of it is deliberate. You just want to reduce my entire message, congeal them, and make it look like, oh, it's about Peter Obi. So when Peter Obi wasn't running, when Peter Obi ran in 2019 as VP of Atiku, why didn't he take the same position, knowing that I spoke against all of them, Buhari, Atiku, Peter Obi? Why? Because I'm not a neophyte in this. I think this is deliberate on you guys' part. You just want to pick on me and make it sound like, oh, because you couldn't force me to support Peter Obi, you want to force me to feel bad that I remain myself. I think that was the goal.
Sowore,
And when you did that,
Sowore,
you keep asking the question in different corners, different ways. You keep changing the same question to make it look as if you just want to obtain from me or exact from me some kind of, oh, he looks angry when he was responding to Peter Obi. No, I'm just this like not new, and you know it.
it's good. It's good that you let this off your chest. And sometimes there are a lot of
That's
things
exactly what. So you are becoming a psychologist now. You know what's on the chest.
sometimes when things are cooked up in one's chest, I mean, you when you let it out, it just free your mind. But
The biggest problem about the generation is that there's a generation that just knew me some 2-3 years ago. This generation didn't know that I was around in '93. I was around in '97. They didn't know that I fought for Abiola. I fought against Abacha. So many of these children that you rely on to make it sound like everything depends on one per issue. They were born in the year 2000. Some of them are just 23 years old. They're the people we call children of democracy, and I love them. They are the generations Y, Z, and whatever. But the truth is that I'm not new here. So if I was fighting Abacha
yeah,
in
sure. I've
1997,
known
am
you
I
for
jealous of
I've known
Abacha?
you for some time now, and so so I can say quite a bit about you, but I know you are very relentless and you don't give up just easily. Have you given up on being Nigeria's president, or you want to give it another try?
You know, any attempt to box me to a corner regarding ambition is not going to work. You see, what you must have known about me is that when everybody stops running, I keep running. Practically, I run for things that I believe in and things I exist for, and they are not dependent on election cycles. Probably I'm one of the few politicians, if you want to call me one, I hate to be referred to as a politician, who is around here, who doesn't wait for election seasons to be heard or to talk about social, political, and economic issues that affects all. So that's probably what people are not used to. So I'm not going to be dealing with you or dealing with matters based on calendar. Let me give you an example. When I got involved with the Ondo State matter a few weeks ago, the first thing people kept saying online is, oh, yes, now Sowore wants to go and become governor in Ondo State. You understand? And I had nothing to do. I don't want to be governor of Ondo State. I'm never going to apply to be governor. If I'm interested in any position, I'll be president of Nigeria. That's why I've indicated I'm not going to downgrade myself. But if there's injustice anywhere, whether it's in Ondo State, Rivers State, Kwara State, Taraba State, or it's even happening in Gombe, I will fight to ensure that people get justice. If it's happening to a Christian or a Muslim, if you're a Shiite or a Sunni, you're a Pentecostal or Catholic or Methodist, I'll fight for you. Or you don't even believe in anything, I'll fight for you. And those things don't depend on election cycles.
So being a governor of Ondo State, you see it as a sum of a downgrade for your kind of person.
You see, my intention or my interest in politics has nothing to do with office. It has to do with ideology. I want to fix the country, and I know I have the capacity to do it. And if I reduce that capacity to a smaller space, I feel like I'm doing injustice to the majority of people across the country. Let me tell you, the people who are shouting, go and do on this state, go and do on this state, I know what they are doing. They don't want to have me on their hands, and they're afraid that I might be around in the next election and that it will be very effective. But I have said it, I'm not doing this for elections. I used to hate politics. It's part of why I hated politics because it's not in my nature to make people look at me and say, if I do something good, I'm expecting something in return for it. And it's very difficult to process when people just reduce your capability, your passion and vision for humanity to election. If I were to be president of Nigeria in 2019, by now, maybe my tenure will be finishing. I would have entered a second tenure, right? Would that end my life? What about the period of time in this country that I fought for democracy? The 33 years that I've done this, I don't know if you listened to Lisa Agbakoba yesterday. He was speaking at Akpabio's event. And I'm looking at him and saying, I've known Agbakoba for 33 years. And he's not president of Nigeria. But look at what he's saying about what he understands about Nigeria. But there he is talking to two people, calling the two of them president, that I'm sure Agbakoba is better than. But does it make him less important? No. He did I think he even used to have a political party. I don't know if he ran for president before, I don't remember, I wasn't around. But I'm just saying that we should not be boxed into this corner of, will you run again? Will you not run again? Those ones are dependent on situational variables. But what needs to be done, the urgency of now is where you should judge me.
All right. So perhaps my final question to you tonight will be, if you were president of Nigeria today, because a lot of people have an impression about the personality of Sowore. They think that Sowore is is a hardcore. What do you think will be that hardcore that a lot of Nigerians would expect from you? Or what are those things that you think you will do that will that will cause some kind of tremor and shake this nation and change it for good? What would that be?
It won't be one thing, it will be a number of things, and I will be doing a lot of things at the same time with some of the most competent people I know at home and abroad. Anybody who calls me a hardcore, hot-headed person is not lying. Because when I believe in something, I'll do it. I'll throw myself on a line. I'm in Ondo State today. When I said a week ago that Governor Akeredolu will resign this week, people were mocking me on social media, and it has come to, that he will be forced to hand over power. But I'm not satisfied yet. That's not what I want. We haven't reached the destination yet. So I'll be doing so many things at the same time. I'll be there talking about how to abolish our constitution that we have now. But that's not the most important thing. I'll put food on the table. I would have increased minimum wage by now. I would not have traveled to COP 25. It's not a big deal, but I'll be at home doing work. I'll be traveling to every corner of this country. I'll be fixing schools, providing education to people. I'll be on the neck of those who are supposed to provide electricity, because by now, if I was president of Nigeria, there will not be a collapse twice or thrice or four times of the national grid. By now, there will not be increase in school fees. By now, we'll be talking about the minimum wage that's a living wage. By now, we'll be building hospitals. I would have turned this country into a construction site by now, and that means more jobs. I would have introduced different means of providing electricity, particularly renewable energy. I would be attracting factories that will produce into the country. The agricultural sector would have been so uplifted that, people would not only have self-sufficiency, but will be exporting by now. Because I know
those who believe that you throw a lot of people in jail too. Is that true?
Jail is no big deal, because I go to jail regularly myself. So if there's need for people to go to jail, that's not a big deal. What I would never do is to throw people in jail I mean, what I would do is ask the security agencies to do their jobs. For instance, if I'm president of Nigeria, I would have asked the IG of police why he's not investigating the people forging letters. Would have arrested the people who are forging documents in all those. I would encourage it. I won't force it. I would have ensured that we have a lot of block of leakages, and that might lead to some arrests and prosecutions. But I'm not going to violate people's rights, because I myself am a human rights activist. I believe in the rights of people to, have fair hearing, but I won't allow people to use their rights to violate the rights of the majority. So, and I will tell you that by now the naira will not be 1,250. I would have dealt with that immediately.
All right. So, just give me a few minutes.
Some of these things on your show,
people...
by the way. But whenever I go to your show, you don't ask me, you don't want to hear about my ideas, you want to talk about Peter Obi.
I talk about everything. I talk about everything, and not who's bad on my podcast. But just give me a moment. I think a few people would like to also ask you one or two questions. I'd like you also to answer a few questions. There are a few people on Twitter Space, on X here, and I see a few hands here. Polinium at Polo M77. Let's make it snappy. There are a few comments, and I'd like to also to wrap up quickly. Polinium, if you are on, your mic is on. Please go ahead. Chora is also with us.
Thank you very much, Shon. Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Sowore. Let me just add my voice to every other Nigerian and call for the release of your passport, because I think that you're a fellow Nigerian citizen and you deserve to have your passport and to be able to go and see your family. So I join my voice and call on every well-meaning Nigerian to add their voice and request for your passport to be released. Now, that said, my question to you is this. Even on this space today, you have said that you criticized all the candidates. And in the last campaign period, I mean, we followed you, followed your comments, followed your tweets, especially about Mr. Peter Obi and other candidates like you've put out there. My question to you, sir, is, do you think that you're the only person that is fit to rule Nigeria? The background of this is Peter Obi, who was supported by millions of Nigerians, and since he came out to run for office, I mean, there has been no corruption charges, nothing out there in the public space that has been leveled against him compared to other candidates. So my question to you again is, do you think that you're the only person that is fit to run for the office of president in Nigeria? Thank you. I yield.
Yeah, Mr. Shora, would you like to respond quickly to that?
Over 170 or more million, maybe over 190 million Nigerians have a passport. So saying that you wish that my passport is released so that you can ask me another demeaning question that am I the only person? I never said I'm the only person fit. As a matter of fact, I think so many of you who are on these spaces are better leaders than the people who are running for office today. And everybody who ran in the election always claim they have millions. And when the votes are counted, this election, that people don't talk. What people don't talk about the election, this last election, is how many few people even participated in the election. You have an election in which the winner only had like 8 million votes, and the runner-up was 6 million. And I mean, I don't know what I think. I don't remember their figures because I didn't believe in the election. So, but yet, the only thing that you guys like to say is that, oh, you think you're the only one. I've never said I'm the only one who can run for office. In this last election, over 18 of us ran in the election. It's very interesting that of all the people that ran, some of you don't even remember the names of other candidates. You only remember Tinubu, Atiku, Peter Obi, and then Sowore. Some of you don't even remember other people's candidates' names. And it's because of my boldness. The boldness not of my person alone, but of my ideas. You guys just feel like everybody should be shut up or shut down if they don't support your candidate. And I think that is wrong. And I don't want to discuss Peter Obi's corruption charges. I don't know who told you that there are no corruption against him. There have been newspaper reports. I reported on Peter Obi's corruption before on Sahara Report, but that's not the discussion for today. Just like others. So I don't think I'm the only person. I don't think that what I've said persistently that you guys don't like is that Peter Obi was governor of Anambra State for 8 years, 8 solid years. And those of you who are speaking, who talk highly of him, will not want to spend your vacation in Anambra State like you go to Dubai. So why you always make it sound like if anybody says something about Peter Obi, that person must be cancelled or he must definitely be shut up? Or you can patronize him by saying, go and give him back his passport. As if I get my passport, I will stop talking.
Let me get another person's view. Dr. Barry Ovotu Johnson at Avotu Johnson first on X. Please, I can see your hand and your mic is on. Please go ahead.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Shon, thank you so much for this time. Sowore, very well. I have been one person to the side, what diagnose your person. But I think with every day that I try to study you, I confirm that you are kind of troubled to want to fight everybody at the same time. And you see, your candidacy for the presidency of Nigeria, for me, is being monetized. The reason why I said so is because, one, we have a history about a Sowore who grew up politically under the influence of people who are accused as drug pushers, drug dealers, and even criminals in this country. And if you product of MKO, it means that you are related to Ahmed Bola Tinubu, who is stealing their votes and forcing the Supreme Court against the wish of the Nigerian people.
All right, I don't know what's wrong with Avotu's, but I guess we'll get him back. But I can see a few other hands on quickly. If Mr. Shora,
Can I quickly respond to him?
Oh yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead. Yeah.
I'm still here. I'm not up to your
I know
question.
Barry Avotu a bit, and the Nigeria will take a long time to recover from the damage that's been done to the psyche of people, and it includes Barry Avotu. Barry Avotu, you remember?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Is the one who went and claimed that some people are going to do a concert for Peter Obi, and it turns out that he was lying. I know him personally. He reaches out to me on a regular, but I don't want to talk about him. I don't. The only reason why you know that Tinubu is a
Can you hear me?
was because I published it in 2008. I was the one who went and obtained records from Chicago to tell the world that Tinubu is a drug pusher. The rest of you waited how many years before you started using, because it was politically convenient. That was the reason why you now remember that Tinubu was selling drugs in Chicago. I knew it in 2018. I published it. And you can ask those who are using it now. They will admit to you that I was the one who went and obtained the documents. So this one is now sitting here and saying that I'm close to drug pushers. I don't know what to say to you. I just say, Father, forgive you, because you don't know what you're saying.
Thank you for joining us on this edition of Mike On Podcast with Shon Okimbaloi. Mike On Podcast for the independent mind.